Hi, guys. Welcome to Real Food Recovery. We are here today and we want to talk about that we are a show that helps you break free from ultra processed food addiction and rediscover what it means to feel nourished in your body, in your mind, and your soul. And today we're diving into a powerful recovery tool that's deceptively simple but wildly effective, and that is habit stacking. And hello to Jamie. How's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Glad to be here. Let's dive in today to the topic, right? So whether you're new to this recovery path or have been walking it for a while, today's episode will help you understand how tiny intentional behaviors done consistently can create a ripple effect that transforms your whole life.
I agree. And so let's just start with the basics. What exactly is habit stacking? Habit stacking is a technique from James Clear's Atomic Habits. I know you've read that too, right? It's
Yes.
about building a new habit by anchoring it to something you're already doing, like brushing your teeth and then doing 10 squats right after. The existing habit becomes a cue for the new one. And neuroscience backs this actually, that basal ganglia, the part of our brain involved in habit formation, it's wired to look for cues and routines. So habit stacking reduce that decision fatigue that we all fight with when it comes to ultra processed food use disorder, and it leverages that automaticity. I know for me, I always double up wherever I can. For example, when I food prep or work out, I like to listen to a current podcast and have the laundry going, which I'm laughing because literally in the background, I've got stuff in the dryer right now going right now as we're recording. In the
Yep.
mornings when I'm getting ready, that is the perfect time for me when it's still and quiet to like listen to spiritual uplifting talk. So every time I'm doing something, I try to have something else going so I can just be efficient with my time. What about you, Jamie? What are some of your habit stacks?
Yep. I listen to stuff while I'm cooking or walking or cleaning or getting ready in the morning or at night. Um, and Yesterday I had a couple hours in the evening, and I was catching up on phone calls with friends and I
Yeah.
did laundry and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a constant thing that I do. I very rarely just do one thing except at work, right? Or recording
Yeah.
podcasts or things like, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
um it's really important for people recovering from ultra processed foods and the effects of them because these old stacking habits that we had were often are related around if we felt stressed we would eat something, right? And usually it was not a bag of broccoli, it was something
Yeah.
highly calorically dense and processed.
Right.
And then we would feel worse afterwards. So it's a big part of recovery to learn how to retrain that habit, that feel this, eat that, right? That's
Right.
that habit connection. It's deeply ingrained in all of us.
Hmm.
Pretty much, whether it's for those who listen to our podcast and for Paige and myself, it's food related, but for
Right.
many people it's alcohol related.
Right.
For many people it's drug related. It could be marijuana related. Some people think recreational drugs. I personally don't think that there is anything different. I believe recreational drugs are as addictive as hard
Oh,
drugs. In the
totally.
sense of the habit, actually the habit, I believe, is what creates the problem with recreational drugs, where the chemicals is what creates the addiction in the hard drugs.
Hmm.
So I think it's important to see that connection, right? When we're how we're coping with stress. Um,
Hmm.
Paige, what's the first habit stack that you used when you were trying to break free in
Oh,
recovery?
yeah, this was a big one for me because when I started this recovery journey, I quickly understood how critical food prep was to my success. It literally was a make it or break it thing for me in as to whether I had things ready to go when I was hungry. And, but it was the most important thing, but I hated doing it the most at the same time. So it became clear that I had to figure out a way to make it to where I was doing something else I loved. And the food prep was kind of like happening in the background, more like a secondary activity. For example, I might get lost in this movie that I wanted to catch up on Netflix, or a murder mystery or a podcast, even our own podcast. It was always a good time to listen to what we had put out that week, and it was amazing how the time would fly, and I would be enjoying myself and I wouldn't even think about the food prep as I was doing it. So I made it to where it was something I was actually really looking forward to, and it's easy once you negotiate things that week. And we talk about a lot about how our beliefs form our identity, and our identity form our behavior, and our behavior forms our habits. And I want to say that my habit of food prep has saved me so many times. I really cannot tell you. I just got back from vacation yesterday, but before I ever left for vacation, as part of my food prep, I had things in the freezer and in the refrigerator ready to go. I mean, the minute I walked in the door, so it wasn't a train wreck when I walked in the door. I had things set up for that night, as
Mm-hmm.
well as this is a Monday when we're recording. I was able to just slide into Monday with things organized. And let me tell you, had I not done that, my day today would look very different because I was scheduled literally minute to minute all day long. And I've been able to just grab the things that are ready for me. And I really give myself a big pat on the back for creating that habit that has made, in the beginning, I said wildly helpful. I mean, it really has just made a complete difference in my success or failure in
Yes.
reaching the goals I want to reach. So, what about you? How has pairing something difficult with something enjoyable help you shift that identity that we talk about so much in this recovery journey overall?
I would say that uh, again, it's really all about in this phase of my life, just good, better, best. And for me right now, um, it's important for me to stack habits around um, having food in the house that supports my recovery. It's important to me to spend a couple hours once a week just doing some basic food prep. I don't
Yeah.
have the bandwidth mentally or emotionally to do the detailed prep
Yep.
at this phase of life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just about making sure that I set myself up as much as I can for the basics right now. And I think it's important to be very gentle and understanding when life changes, and you can't always do things the way you used to. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. I'm giving myself lots of grace to allow my schedule to change this season of life. And I let go of that death grip on life a long time ago. And my death grip on a routine, because routines need to adapt with life. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
important for people to give themselves when they're going through situations that change their routine, or they, in my case, I had to have a logistics change. So th- that has precipitated other changes in my routine. And it's important to learn that we have opportunities when we have those changes in life, opportunities to do things differently.
I love that word. And you've used that on me several times, and your reply to something that I'll be in a twist about, your reply is always, "Oh, looks like there's an opportunity there." Makes me so mad.
Yes.
Because you're so right. You're so right, but I want to be mad.
It's a recovery thing. That's a
Yeah.
that's a that's a outcome of many years of 12-step recovery.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit later about exactly the topic you were talking about, because I don't want to just gloss over it. There is so much there about what you were just talking about. So we're going to get into that a little bit more in a minute. But
Mhm.
I do want to talk about the identity for myself when it came to habit stacking, because that enlightenment really taught me that I am someone who can do hard things. And it just takes some think work of how am I going to figure this out instead of immediately going, nope, can't do that. I've learned that I can think a little deeper and not just quit right off the bat when something seems hard at first glance. So if I want to be that someone who can figure things out, and I want to be that someone who can make hard things enjoyable, and I can. It takes a little effort, but it is possible to do that. And
Mhm.
that changed everything for me when I shifted my identity and my thinking patterns. It really opened up my world because instead of feeling defeated by tasks that I used to dread, I started seeing myself as someone who can work with my brain, not against it. And that
Yes.
mindset then starts spilling over into every other area of recovery too. Okay, if I can figure this out, I bet I can figure that out. And I'm going to go on a road trip in a month by myself and drive. And I'm like, okay, I can figure that out too. We've got some family coming in a week. And with little kids, I can figure that out too with what we can do to keep things busy. But at first glance, it's like, ah, I don't know how to do this. But just learning to stop myself and figuring out I can do these hard things really, it's that feeling of giving yourself a little pat on the back.
Mhm.
And that's where that self trust then develops. And so each small habit reinforces this new belief that I'm the kind of person who loves myself enough to keep myself safe, and I will figure out the way to get that done. So I want to switch gears for a little bit. When we think about recovery, people often imagine these big dramatic changes. I was meeting with some new members in our group the past couple days, and we everybody wants to know, where do I start? Where do I start? And Jamie and I always are like, what's some small
Mhm.
changes that you can make? Because these big overwhelming, we've worked with people that want to just do everything all at once. They do not stick around for a long time. It's too
Yeah.
big. But these small changes, they're doable, and they're doable to the brain. The
Mhm.
brain does not freak out and want to shut down. So for me, it was the smallest shifts that seemed to make the biggest impact. Do you believe in making the big changes all at once? I already know your answer, but have you ever tried to overhaul everything at once and have it backfire on you?
I did that. Well, and the last time I did that was during right when COVID set in, or right before COVID set in. I decided to, to move from sort of omnivore to whole food plant-based eating. And that was almost within two weeks, I think I was totally there.
Wow.
Days 1 through 7, I was, excuse me, I pulled out everything except dairy and eggs. And the minimal amount of dairy that I had in the time and eggs was week 2, and then I was off and running. So
Mm.
that was but again, and it was right before COVID. I Nobody at the time, COVID was sort of just a
F-
talk, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't really a
Mm-hmm.
reality for everyone until about a
Mm-hmm.
month and a half after that. So,
Yeah.
but it helped me when COVID did hit and the world shut down and I was, you know, isolated. We all were isolated from family and friends and
Yeah.
loved ones and everything immediately without any notice. Um, I found that having those changes really helped me focus on something that I could do instead of all the feelings that of I couldn't.
Oh.
It allowed me to, control the things that I had right in front of me. So that was helpful. But again, that's not everyone has an opportunity like that. So, and I think
True.
the biggest thing that I would say that was a unique circumstance.
Yeah.
Um, but consistency trumps perfection every time. I mean, every time.
Yeah.
Consistency is discipline, discipline is consistency. And even if it's just, you did something today towards your goal, the fact that you do a little bit every day is all that you could ask for.
Yeah, and we're actually going to get into that even a little bit more too, because that is such a huge point when it comes to
Yes.
people talking about habits. So, anytime, as I mentioned, that we've worked with someone who's made these big dramatic changes, it just usually never lasts. People have a bunch of energy in the beginning. And I used to, before I discovered recovery, I helped people with diets. And I've told this story so many times, but the first week they were so excited and they lost 2.5 pounds. And the second week they were like, and then the third week, nobody would call me back. So it just does not stay when it's too much of a change all at once. So we typically focus on what is one small change you can implement today. And like I said, much less overwhelming
Yeah.
to the brain. You really have to build the habits that support change. So having those habits in place to support change is critical in the beginning too. So think of comparing habit stacking to building a muscle. You wouldn't try to lift 200 pounds on day one, and the same goes for recovery. And one thing we preach a lot about, and this is where I'm going to have Jamie talk a little bit more on this topic, but it's not about perfection. It's about the consistency. Even missing once is okay, but the goal is to never miss twice. Do you want to touch a little more on the dangers of that perfectionist mentality? Because I've heard you speak about this before and you have a lot of good things to say.
I mean, I don't just do something that day that aligns with your goals, or that period of time that aligns with your goals. Don't worry about big, perfectionist, or trying to do what you did the day before, or, meet your plan. If you can't do it, just give yourself grace. I mean, really, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
And don't you think that perfectionist mentality is the one thing that would make people quit faster than anything?
Yes.
I, I,
Not faster than anything, but yes, it'll definitely take people down.
yeah, I didn't do it perfect, so
Why
I,
bother?
I, yeah, my one tire went flat, so I'm going to slash the other three.
Exactly.
That type of thinking.
Yep.
So yeah, that gets into a scary place. So, okay, we're going to do something a little different today. And that is, we're going to do kind of a lightning round of listener questions when it comes to this topic because we had so much interest in this. And the things that they were coming up with was seemed to be more pertinent to our topic. So I wanted to make sure that everybody got their questions answered. So I will start. And the first one is, how do I know what habit to start with? I like that question because that question actually does come up a lot. So I like to tell people to start with whatever's killing you most. Start with when you get to that, let's find out what's the most doable. Choose something small, relevant to your goals, and easy to attach to another habit that you're already doing. And I find when people make these small, little goals, it's almost exciting and fun to start to try doing it because they see that it's doable and it adds energy versus dread.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. How do I habit stack if I'm in total chaos with family life, little ones at home, job stress? Again, it's prioritization. It really
I
has
agree.
to be priorities.
I agree.
Look at what is the most, I mean, that's why we have the branches of recovery. Look at what are the most important things to you in a given day, that you need to be able to function. Like
Yeah.
for me, in periods like that, it would be sleep. It would be
Hmm.
as many single ingredient foods as I can find or buy or prepare. It would be making sure that I stay connected to a community. That's very important.
Hmm.
And then I would also make sure that I have a real handle on my spiritual connection, right? Well, in some way, shape, or form, sometime with a spiritual presence. I think that's very important. So those four big branches, as we call them, that would be where to start.
I agree. The next one is it better to habit stack food routines or emotional practices first? Whichever feels more urgent or motivating to
Yes.
you, if you're drowning in some area, we need to address that first. And whether it's up to you to decide if that's food or emotions, because both can be devastating to our mental health. Food routines build structure, emotional practices build resilience. So they actually support each other over time, but there could be something that's jumping out to you in your life that you feel needs the most attention first. So it really is following your gut with that one.
Yeah. Paige covered this next one pretty much in the first question, but I always forget to follow through. How can I remember my habit stack? That's the whole point of a habit stack. You literally do it when you're doing another habit that's already ingrained in you. So there's not necessarily follow through. There's just, you need to reposition where you stacked that habit.
Yeah, don't you think it's just like routine that it just becomes it becomes a natural, you're not
Mhm.
even thinking about it. It's just becomes
Right.
natural as you repeat, 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 repeat.
Right.
Um, The next one is habit stacking helpful even if I am having side steps with ultra processed food? Yes, 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 and then especially yes. Every small habit you anchor builds a little momentum. And we talked about this already, but progress isn't perfection, it's consistency despite the setbacks. I just came off vacation, food everywhere, as you can imagine, with a big family and all kinds of food choices. And I had a couple of bites of it wasn't really a dessert, but it had some sugar in it. And I'm like, oh, shoot, that has way more sweetness in it than I thought. But that was the last, I was done with that. And by the next day, I was back exactly to my routine and habits because I care about myself and I don't want to go down a path where I get derailed, especially on vacation with temptation everywhere in that heightened position. So I had just a little set, not even a setback, just a sidestep. And because of my habits that I've created over these past 4.5 years, I was able just to slide happily right back into my normal routine.
Yes. What role does journaling play in reinforcing new habits? I would be careful around journaling. And again, it's an excellent thing to do. I'm not knocking journaling. But if you're thinking about, okay, how can I have a new habit? Let me journal about it. And I don't already journal, then you've created more stress for yourself
Mm,
to try to journal about something and create another habit on about habits, right? So give yourself a break. If you're already a journaler, journal about or pray about, hey, yeah, I feel like I'm missing these habits and I'd like to incorporate them. And how might that look? Or what can I think about that? How can I think about this differently? And that would be something worth journaling about if you're already a journaler. If you are
yeah,
not a
I
journaler,
like that.
give yourself a break and find another way to stack a habit and just take small wins and that momentum builds on itself.
Yeah, and aren't you one that uses your phone for like reminders?
Oh yeah.
So that's what I do as far as reinforcing new habits is setting a reminder in my phone for things. And oftentimes I get to it before the journal or before the reminder pops up on my phone. But
Yes.
that's just one way to help yourself stay on track.
Yes.
Um, can I habit stack thinking differently, like mindset work? I love this question so much. And definitely, you absolutely can habit stack thinking differently. If you can pair a mindset shift with something physical, like repeating an affirmation while washing your face in the morning. I love morning stuff kind of set yourself up for the day. So I do a lot of my spiritual work in the morning when I first wake up before I leave the house. So there are a lot of things when I'm every morning when I'm getting ready, I'm always listening to a spiritual talk of some sort. And when I'm making breakfast, I have something going in the background too. But so you can reframe thoughts while you take a walk. You can
Mhm.
practice looking for silver linings and turning a negative into a positive. And that is the habit that keeps on giving. Like I said, we were on vacation last week, and my almost 7-year-old granddaughter was having a little meltdown, crying about somebody hurt their feeling. I can't even remember what it was about. And I said, do you want to play a game and talk about gratitude and reframing? And I started the sentence and I would have her reframe. I can't even remember what the topic was, but we went through a little reframe exercise. And at the end, I said, do you feel better? She said, a little.
Mhm.
But still, it introduced something to her to think about something differently. And I thought, this is a great way for young children to start practicing gratitude, and silver linings. And I told her that in the beginning before we started that we're going to play this game to make you feel better. And hopefully, I'll have opportunities to continue to repeat that with them throughout their lives. And so that creates new habits. The way we think is just a habit, right? Just like I had said to you, I wanted to be mad about something, and you said there's an opportunity there. Well, I don't know. I wanted to be mad, but it's really more of a habit, don't you think? That I went just straight to that frustration or
No, I mean, maybe, but I think more than likely it's other things that pile up on it on us, and then there's something that tips us over the edge. But I think
Yeah.
that the it could feel like a habit to be angry about something, but it's typically something else going on underneath. And then, I would say if somebody is angry or hurt or whatever, I would help them address that feeling first, acknowledge that feeling first, validate that feeling for them. Um, and then say, hey, how are you now? When you're 7, that's not going to work, but as an adult,
Yeah.
right? How are
Yeah.
you now? Can you frame this differently? um can you look at this as a, a learning opportunity, or something that gives you growth, instead of like this thing that you want to be angry about? Because the anger is valid, but that doesn't really help you.
Yeah, you're frozen. You're stuck there
Yeah,
if you stay there, and our goal is to progress people and move it through.
yes.
Yep.
What if I start a habit stack and it doesn't feel rewarding? Do I quit or tweak it? I would ask you, define rewarding, and is it because it's missing a you're missing a goal that you set for yourself? Like, why doesn't it feel rewarding? And then, are you looking for a reward, or are you looking for progress towards your goal? Right. So sometimes things
Mm.
don't feel rewarding, but we're making progress towards our goals.
Mhm.
Again, if it's soul sucking along the way, then that's a bigger issue. But if it's just that it doesn't feel rewarding, I probably would say think about the bigger picture and just keep going.
I cannot tell you how much I love that point, because we also have to not expect, starbursts and baskets of kitties and glitter falling from the
Yeah,
sky over these. Our expectations need to
that's
be
right.
a little more realistic.
That's right. All right. Let's go ahead and again, if you're listening to this and feeling overwhelmed, just remember, one small habit, if you do them consistently, has the power to change your life.
I agree. And don't wait until you're motivated. Jamie kind of talked about this earlier. Motivation follows action. Stack your way to freedom, one bite, one breath, one brave step at a time. The smallest changes often lead to the biggest healing. And I love this conversation, and really, small habits really do make big changes on the recovery journey. And if you want to find out more about us, you can find us at realfoodrecoveryforyou.com. That's the number 4 and the letter U, and we sure hope to see you there. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. See you next time. Bye bye.
Thanks.